Zoos let us get up close and personal with wild animals, but sometimes that's not a good thing. In this video, we're diving into 5 shocking moments when visitors got a little too close for comfort. On a scorching July day in 2016, what was supposed to be an exciting trip to Beijing's Battling Wildlife Park became the stuff of horror movies. It all started with a heated argument inside a car. Tensions were rising between a woman named Xiao and her family. Frustrated and likely wanting to make a point, she did something no one could have imagined. She opened the car door. Yes, in the middle of a tiger enclosure. Maybe she thought she was just stepping out for a breath of fresh air. Maybe she wasn't thinking at all. But the thing about tigers, they don't do timeouts. Before she could even process her mistake, the jungle came alive. From the shadows, a massive Siberian tiger launched itself at her with terrifying speed. In a flash, the 400-pound predator clamped its jaws onto her and began dragging her away. Screams erupted. Panic exploded inside the vehicle. Her family, frozen in horror, had only seconds to react. That's when Xiao's mother, in a desperate act of heroism, did what any mother would do. She ran straight toward the danger. But nature is ruthless. A second tiger, bigger, faster, and even more ferocious than the first, attacked. The impact was brutal. The beast took her down with a force so powerful it sent shivers through anyone who watched the footage later. She had no chance. Unlike Xiao, she wouldn't make it out alive. Every horrifying second was caught on security cameras. The footage, which eventually leaked online, left the world in shock. Viewers watched in horror as the tigers disappeared into the underbrush with their victims. By the time park officials and emergency responders arrived, the nightmare was over. Xiao, incredibly, survived. Severely injured, but alive. Her mother, tragically, did not. Her courageous attempt to save her daughter had cost her everything. The incident sparked immediate outrage and a flood of questions. The park had clear rules. Stay inside your vehicle. Keep the windows up. Lock the doors. Yet, Xiao later claimed she had no idea what she had signed before entering. According to her, she thought it was just a standard form, not a serious waiver warning about the lurking danger. Making matters worse, she accused the park of failing to respond in time. She insisted a park official in a nearby vehicle should have stepped in to help. That accusation sent shockwaves through China. It was a peaceful evening in May 2018, the kind where the air hums with the sounds of the wild, and the stars twinkle over Uganda's Queen Elizabeth National Park. At Ma Safari Lodge, everything seemed perfectly normal, until it wasn't. What unfolded next was the stuff of nightmares, a real-life horror story that sent chills down the spines of an entire community. A 2-year-old boy, full of boundless energy and innocent curiosity, toddled just a little too far from safety. He had been following his nanny, his tiny steps unnoticed in the dim evening light. And then, bam, the jungle, always watching, always waiting, decided to show its brutal side. A leopard, silent and patient, had been lurking in the shadows. It saw an opportunity, and in a heartbeat it pounced. Before the nanny could even process what was happening, the beast had clamped its powerful jaws around the little boy and vanished into the darkness. One moment, the child was there, laughing, playing. The next, he was gone. A scream shattered the night. The nanny spun around, her heart pounding in terror, just in time to see the monstrous feline dragging the helpless toddler into the thick brush. Without a second thought, she ran after them, fueled by desperation, fear, and sheer adrenaline. But the jungle doesn't play fair. The leopard had disappeared, melting into the wild like a ghost, leaving nothing behind but echoes of panic. What followed was a frantic search. Rangers, villagers, and the child's devastated family scoured the dense undergrowth, calling his name, praying for a miracle. But the jungle remained silent. Hours passed, stretching into what felt like an eternity, and then came the cruelest discovery of all. At dawn, beneath a tree, the grim reality was laid bare. The child's remains, his tiny skull and a few scattered bones, were all that was left. The leopard had not only taken him, but had fed on him. The tragedy hit like a hammer to the heart. This wasn't just an accident, it was raw, merciless, and gut-wrenching. The boy's mother, a game ranger at the park, had been on duty when her son was stolen away by the very wildlife she had sworn to protect. His father, Francis Manena Nabugier, was shattered beyond words. His voice, hollow with grief, echoed the pain of every parent's worst nightmare. "You gave us the coffin," he said. "My son is gone. Nothing will bring him back." But grief alone wasn't enough. He needed answers. He needed to understand how such a horrific event could happen in a place where people were supposed to feel safe. The Uganda Wildlife Authority, scrambling for damage control, faced a chilling truth. The leopard had now tasted human blood, and when a predator gets a taste for something once, it might come back for more. Spokesman Bashir Hangi didn't sugarcoat it. "We are working towards tracking it down," he admitted. "It is not good to keep it there." Translation: this leopard had just been upgraded to public enemy number 1. The attack sent shockwaves across Uganda. Sure, the occasional leopard sighting was expected, but a full-blown, child-snatching, bloodthirsty attack, that was something out of a horror movie. On August 14, 1997, Patty McConnell, a Texas mom road-tripping to Alaska with her kids, decided to take a much-needed break at the hot springs. The scenery was stunning, the water was warm, and the vibe was all about relaxation. Wanting to escape the crowds, Patty and her 13-year-old son Kelly wandered down a boardwalk, climbed a set of stairs, and found a quieter pool. Everything was perfect, until it wasn't. Out of nowhere, a rustling in the bushes shattered the peace. Patty turned, and there it was, a massive black bear staring right at her. Before she could even react, the bear charged. In an instant, it tackled Patty, sinking its claws and teeth into her. Her terrified screams echoed through the forest as she fought for her life. Now, most 13-year-olds would probably freeze in terror, but not Kelly. This kid was made of pure courage. Grabbing the nearest tree branch, he started whacking the bear with everything he had. When that didn't work, he even kicked the bear in the face, a move that was as bold as it was risky. But the bear, furious and relentless, turned its attention to Kelly. With one powerful swipe, it clawed his neck, grabbed him by the waist, and hurled him to the ground like a rag doll. The chaos caught the attention of other visitors, including Ray Kitchen, a man who didn't hesitate to jump in and try to save the family. He fought with everything he had, but the bear's sheer strength was too much. In the struggle, the bear knocked Ray off the boardwalk, sending both of them tumbling down a hillside. Tragically, Ray didn't make it. The bear delivered fatal wounds to his neck, taking his life in the process. As panic spread through the park, another man tried to help and was critically injured in the attempt. It wasn't until 2 bystanders arrived with hunting rifles that the nightmare finally ended. They shot and killed the bear, but by then, the damage was done. Patty, despite her valiant effort to protect her son, didn't survive. Her bravery, however, was undeniable. Her final moments were spent fighting for Kelly. Miraculously, Kelly survived, though severely injured. His determination to battle a full-grown black bear and his incredible will to live turned him into a real-life legend. As for Ray Kitchen, his selflessness left a deep impact on everyone who heard his story. He ran toward danger without a second thought, an act of true heroism that cost him his life but saved others. The attack sent shockwaves through the region, sparking conversations about wildlife safety and the unpredictable dangers of nature. Wildlife officials later determined that the bear was emaciated and unusually aggressive, likely attacking out of pure desperation due to hunger or illness. On June 5th, Lisa, a mother of 3 and a respected financial professional, joined her husband and a group of tourists on a guided bushwalk. Led by experienced guides, they set off toward a riverbank, where a hulking hippopotamus lurked just beneath the surface. Hippos may look like chubby, oversized bathtub toys, but in reality, they're one of the deadliest creatures in the wild. Territorial, aggressive, and capable of launching into a full-speed charge faster than you can say, "Bad idea." Despite the danger, the group was encouraged to observe from close range, reassured that everything was under control. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. 1 second, all was calm. The next, chaos erupted. The hippo lifted its head, paused for a split second, almost like it was sizing up its next move, and then exploded from the water with the force of a freight train. Lisa turned to flee, but there was no outrunning a rampaging hippo. In a heartbeat, the massive beast lunged, its gigantic jaws clamping down on her with a force that shattered bones instantly. She was lifted clean off the ground, flung around like a rag doll. Her screams echoed through the air. Craig could do nothing but watch in horror as his wife was mauled to death before his eyes. His dream safari had turned into a waking nightmare. In the aftermath, Craig was left with unimaginable grief and a burning question. How could this have happened? He has since filed a lawsuit against African Portfolio, the Connecticut-based tour company that organized the trip, accusing them of gross negligence. According to Craig, they were never warned about just how dangerous hippos could be on foot, nor were proper safety precautions taken. Had we known the risks, we never would have gone near that hippo, Craig stated through his attorneys. The idea that we were left so vulnerable, that Lisa had no protection between her and such a deadly animal, is mind-blowing. African Portfolio, however, has denied responsibility. Their attorney, Rod Gould, brushed off the lawsuit, claiming the company simply arranges trips and can't be held accountable for what happens during them. My client is a tour operator. We arrange vacations. If a traveler's airline loses their luggage, that's not our fault, he argued. But for Craig and his devastated family, this wasn't just a freak accident. It was a preventable tragedy. Lisa Manders wasn't just another unlucky tourist. She was a loving wife, a devoted mother, and a bright light extinguished far too soon. Lisa was the best wife and mother anyone could ever ask for, Craig said, his voice heavy with grief. Her violent death is a heartbreaking loss not just for our family but for everyone who knew her. It was a regular Sunday in October 2009, or at least, that's how it started. The heroine of our tale? Kellyanne Walls, a 37-year-old mom from Ross Township, Pennsylvania. She wasn't just an ordinary animal lover. Nope. While most people settle for a dog, maybe a cat or two, Kellyanne went all in. Think lions, tigers, cougars, and a 350-pound black bear named Teddy. For nearly a decade, Teddy wasn't just a pet. He was part of the family. Kellyanne didn't see him as a wild animal. To her, he was just a big, furry buddy who happened to live in a cage out back, and she had cleaned that cage 1,000 times without a single problem. But as fate would have it, October 4th was the day everything changed. That afternoon, Kellyanne grabbed some dog food, her usual trick to keep Teddy occupied while she cleaned. "Here you go, big guy," she might have said, tossing the food to one side of the enclosure. Normally, that was enough to keep him busy. Maybe it was the chill in the air. Maybe it was the fact that hibernation season was around the corner. Or maybe, just maybe, Teddy finally remembered that he was, in fact, a bear. Whatever the reason, something inside him snapped. As Kellyanne stepped into the cage like she had countless times before, Teddy attacked. The scene was nothing short of chaos. Kellyanne's children, frozen in horror, saw the unthinkable unfolding before their eyes. Their mother was in danger, and they did the only thing they could. They ran. As fast as their legs could carry them, they sprinted to their neighbor's house. Enter Scott Caston, local schoolteacher. When he opened the door to find two panicked kids shouting about a bear, he figured a wild one had wandered into town. Without hesitation, he grabbed his .357 caliber handgun and ran toward the Walls property. What he saw when he got there was far worse than he could have imagined. Teddy was still on the attack. Kellyanne lay unconscious, and the bear wasn't done yet. When Teddy turned his attention towards Scott, the neighbor had a choice: stand there and become the bear's next target or act fast. Instinct kicked in. One shot. The bullet struck Teddy, killing him instantly. With the bear down, Scott rushed to Kellyanne's side and called for help, but it was too late. By the time paramedics arrived, there was nothing they could do. Kellyanne was gone. The news rocked the entire community. She had been more than just an animal lover. She was a gentle, kind-hearted woman who had poured her soul into caring for the creatures she adored. Her funeral was filled with friends, neighbors, and heartbroken family members who couldn't believe such a tragedy had unfolded right in their quiet town. But as the mourning continued, so did the questions. Turns out there were warning signs. For starters, Michael Walls, Kellyanne's husband, had let his permits for keeping exotic animals expire over a year earlier, while officials had previously inspected the enclosures and found no safety issues. The Pennsylvania Game Commission had always made one thing clear: wild animals, no matter how loved, can never be truly tamed. And so, Kellyanne's story became a bittersweet lesson. Her passion for animals was undeniable. Her love for Teddy was real. But in the end, love wasn't enough to override nature's instincts.